A barber's pole is a type of sign used by barbers to signify the place or shop where they perform the craft. The trade sign is by a tradition dating back to the Middle Ages, a staff or pole with a helix of colored stripes. The pole may be stationary and may revolve, often with the aid of an electric motor. A barber's pole with a helical stripe is a familiar sight, and is used as a secondary metaphor to describe objects in many other contexts. For example, if the shaft or tower of a lighthouse has been painted with a helical stripe as a day mark, the lighthouse could be described as having been painted in barber's pole colors. Origin in barbering and surgery. During medieval times, barbers performed surgery on customers, as well as tooth extractions. The original pole had a brass wash basin at the top and bottom. The pole itself represents the staff that the patient gripped during the procedure to encourage blood flow. At the Council of Tours in 1163, the clergy was banned from the practice of surgery, for then, physicians were clearly separated from the surgeons and barbers. Later, the role of the barbers was defined by the Collège de Saint-Damien established by Jean Cottard in Paris circa 1210, as academic surgeons of the long robe and barber surgeons of the short robe. After the formation of the United Barber Surgeons Company in England, a statute required the barber to use a blue and white pole and the surgeon to use a red pole. In France, surgeons used a red pole with a basin attached to identify their officers. Blue often appears on poles in the United States, possibly as a homage to its national colors. Another, more fanciful interpretation of these barber pole colors is that red represents arterial blood, blue is symbolic of venous blood, and white depicts the bandage. Prior to 1950, there were 4 manufacturers of barber poles in the United States. In 1950, William Marvey of St. Paul, Minnesota, started manufacturing barber poles. Marvey made his 50,000th barber pole in 1967, and by 2010, over 82,000 had been produced. The William Marvey Company is now the sole manufacturer of barber poles in North America, and sells only 500 per year. In recent years, the sale of spinning barber poles has dropped considerably, since few barber shops are opening, and many jurisdictions prohibit moving signs. Cocan of St. Louis, Missouri, manufactured barber equipment such as chairs and assorted poles in the 19th century. As early as 1905, use of the poles was reported to be diminishing in the United States. In Forest Grove, Oregon, the world's tallest barber shop pole measures 72 feet. The consistent use of this symbol for advertising was analogous to an apothecary's show globe, a tobacconist's cigar store Indian, and a pawnbroker's 3 gold balls. Use in barbering. The red and white pole outside barber shops references a time when barbers were expected to perform bloodletting and other medical procedures to heal the sick. Red represented blood and white represented bandages. Barber surgeons in Rome also performed teeth extraction, cupping, leeching, bloodletting, surgery, and enemas. However, today's barber poles represent little more than being a barber shop that cuts hair and does shaves. Barber poles have actually become a topic of controversy in the hairstyling business. In some states, such as Michigan, in March 2012, legislation has emerged proposing that barber poles should only be permitted outside barber shops, but not at traditional beauty salons. Barbers and cosmetologists have engaged in several legal battles claiming the right to use the barber pole symbol to indicate to potential customers that the business offers hair-cutting services. Barbers claim that they are entitled to exclusive rights to use the barber pole because of the tradition tied to the craft, whereas cosmetologists argue that they are equally capable of cutting men's hair too. Use in prostitution. In some parts of Asia, a red, white and blue barber pole is used as a symbol for a brothel. While prostitution is illegal in many parts of Asia, laws against it are often only enforced to the degree that all public solicitations for it are eliminated. The barber's pole is used as a euphemistic way of advertising a brothel, thus reducing the likelihood of police intervention. In South Korea, barber's poles are used both for actual barber shops and for brothels. Brothels disguised as barber shops, referred to as or, are more likely to use two poles next to each other, often spinning in opposite directions, though the use of a single pole for the same reason is also quite common. Actual barber shops or are more likely to be hair salons. To avoid confusion, they will usually use a pole that shows a picture of a woman with flowing hair on it with the words hair salon written on the pole. Visual illusion. A spinning barber pole creates a visual illusion in which the stripes appear to be traveling up or down the length of the pole, rather than around it. Other uses of the term visual similarity. The swan portion of M17, the Omega Nebula in the Sagittarius nebulosity, is said to resemble a barber's pole. Barber pole-like structures have been observed at the cellular level. The effects, origins and causes are controversial and are subject to intense research. Matthew Walker's knot is a decorative knot used to keep the end of a rope from fraying and said to resemble a barber's pole. Though highly decorative and historically one of the most common knots on a modern yacht, it is almost unused and unknown. Sinosauropteryx is the first genus of non-avian dinosaur found with the fossilized impressions of feathers, as well as the first non-avian dinosaur where coloration has been determined. It lived in China during the early Cretaceous period and was a close relative of Compsognathus. It was the first non-avian dinosaur genus discovered from the famous Jehol biota of Liaoning province. Zhang found that the filaments running down its back and tail may have made the dinosaur look like an orange and white striped barber pole. Such a vibrant pattern suggests that feathers first arose as agents for color display, Benton says. Referential naming. Animal husbandry. Emenchus contortis, or barber's poleworm, is the parasitic nematode responsible for anemia, bottle jaw, and death of infected sheep and goats, mainly during summer months in warm, humid climates. Humans may become infected by the worms. Crustaceous Stenopus hispidus is a shrimp-like popcorn kernel decapod crustacean sometimes called the barber pole shrimp. See also Stenopodidae. Entomology. In the bug world, there is the barber pole grasshopper, Dactylotum bicolor. It is also known as the painted grasshopper, and is said to be the most beautiful grasshopper. Ichthyology. Because of its bright bands and colors, the red-banded rockfish Sebastes babcocki is referred to as barber pole. Other pseudonyms include bandit, convict, pea canary, Hollywood, and Spanish flag. Candy. The old-fashioned American stick candy is sometimes also referred to as barber pole candy due to its colorful, swelled appearance. See also candy cane. Candy stripe is a generic description of the candy cane color scheme. Among many other names, the candy has been called polkagress. Computer science. In UI design, a barber pole-like pattern is used in progress bars when the wait time is indefinite. It is intended to be used like a throbber to tell the user that processing is continuing, although it is not known when the processing will complete. Barber pole is also sometimes used to describe a text pattern where a line of text is rolled left to right one character on the line below. The CHARGEN service generates a form of this pattern. It is used to test RAM, hard disks and printers. A similar pattern is also used in secure erasure of media. Electronics. The strength and direction of magnetic fields and electric currents can be measured using a magneto-resistive Barber pole sensor, and its performance can be depicted using a mathematical formula. Such a sensor interleaves a series of permanent magnet strips with a series of magneto-resistive strips. The conductive Barber pole strips are canted across the sensor and connect one magneto-resistive strip over a permanent magnet strip to another magneto-resistive strip. This is said to provide a uniform magnetic field throughout the sensor, thereby enhancing its resistance to external magnetic fields. The technology is used in wireless sensor networks, which have gathered a lot of attention as an important research domain, and were deployed in many applications, e.g., navigation, military, ambient intelligence, medical, and industrial tasks. Context-based processing and services, in particular location context, are of key interest. Infra, aviation and spaceflight. The term on the Barber pole is pilot jargon that refers to flying an aircraft at the maximum safe velocity. The airspeed indicator on aircraft capable of flying at altitude features a red, white striped needle resembling a Barber pole. This needle displays the VMO at altitude, the MMO of the aircraft. This needle also indicates the maximum operating Mach number above the VMO/MMO changeover level. As the aircraft increases in altitude and the air decreases in density and temperature, the speed of sound also decreases. Close to the speed of sound, an aircraft becomes susceptible to buffeting caused by shock waves produced by flying at transonic speeds. Thus, as the speed of sound decreases, so the maximum safe operating speed of the aircraft is reduced. The Barber pole needle moves to indicate this speed. Flying on the Barber pole therefore means to be flying the aircraft as fast as is safe to do so in the current conditions. Barber pole is a phrase used to describe the striped output of indicators used during the Apollo and Shuttle programs. Typically the indicator would show all gray or a gray and white striped pattern, known as Barber pole, to allow the astronauts a quick visual reference of the status of the spacecraft systems. Various indicators in the Apollo command modules indicated Barber pole when the corresponding system was inactive. Astronaut Jim Lovell can also be found describing system indications as Barber pole in the transcript of radio transmissions during the Apollo 13 accident. The phrase Barber pole continues to be found in many subsystem descriptions in the Space Shuttle News Reference Manual, as well as the NASA KSC acronym list. During World War I and World War II, the pattern has also been used as an insignia for aircraft identification. SPAD-XIIs of the 94th Aero Squadron USAS in early 1919 used variations on Barber pole patterns including Barber pole of LT-Dudley, red, Outco S16546, flagged as of Captain Reed Chambers, and Rising Sun of LT John Jeffers. Fly fishing, used in fly fishing. Sable River Guide Earl Madson's Barber pole is a traditional Michigan fly in the form of a stonefly imitation, with grizzly hackle, tip wings tied in a downwing fashion. Photo of Madson's Barber pole fly parachute form. Gambling. The phrase Barber pole is derisive jargon in craps, and refers to the commingling of gaming checks of different denominations. Wagers that combine different denominations are supposed to be stacked with the highest denomination at the bottom. Parachuting. The Screaming Eagles 101st Airborne Division Command Parachute Demonstration Team, which operates out of Fort Campbell, Kentucky, executes a Barber pole maneuver during demonstrations. Two jumpers leave the aircraft and fly the bodies together to link while in free fall. Once together they will then exchange a wooden baton, maneuver the bodies to create the illusion of a giant barber pole in the sky. Alternatively, a four-man star can hook up and then the formation rotates to the right, creating a barber pole effect with use of trailing smoke. Another parachuting use of the term describes having a mess of lines tangled behind your head and you have to cut away your main chute and pull your reserve. Meteorology. According to the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, barber pole is a slang term used by weather and storm spotters to describe a thunderstorm updraft with a visual appearance including cloud striations that are curved in a manner similar to the stripes of a barber pole. The structure typically is most pronounced on the leading edge of the updraft, while drier air from the rear flank downdraft often erodes the clouds on the trailing side of the updraft. See supercell. Supercell, barber's pole photograph. A linchpin of the NOAA National Hurricane Research Laboratory's Hurricane Research Fleet is the Lockheed WP-3D Orion. It has two barber pole samplers which protrude from the aircraft's front, a tail Doppler weather radar, and other unique-looking instruments hanging from the wing. Booksellers. Redder rubric posts were sometimes used by booksellers in England prior to 1800. William Roberts reports in the Book Hunter in London that certain 18th-century bookshops in the Little Britain district of London sported such poles. A few years before Nichols published his literary anecdotes, two booksellers used to sport the rubric posts close to each other here in Little Britain, and these rubric posts were once as much the type of a bookseller's shop as the pole is of a barber's. Sewell, Cornhill, and Keckenderhunt, Strand, were among the last to use these curious trade signs, border and lane markers among the fortifications of the inner German border. 2,622 barber pole-styled markers were placed about 500 feet apart to demarcate the no-man's land between East Germany and West Germany. The 41 Combat Engineer Regiment, a part of the Canadian Military Engineers, produced and delivered over 16,000 distinctive barber pole lane markers during World War II. Canadian Naval Group. The famous Barber Pole Group was originally a group of 120 Flower-class corvettes built in Canada during World War II, and charged primarily with protecting freighter convoys. The original group was Escort Group C3. This group of ships, with its red and white barber pole stripes painted on the funnel, is still represented in the current Royal Canadian Navy. All Atlantic Fleet ships wear this insignia. HMCS Sackville is the last remaining Flower-class corvette. Daymarks as a navigational aid. A barber pole motif has been used as a daymark in navigational aid for lighthouses. The White Shell Light is the only barber pole lighthouse in the United States, and has been used in Michigan's Save Our Lights license plate. However, black and white helical daymarks do appear on other lights, such as Cape Hatteras Light and St. Augustine Light. Barber pole channel markers are sometimes used as they are in the Tamaki River. Hockey. In the 1896-97 season, the Ottawa Senators first adopted the barber pole design for the hockey jersey, with which the team became identified. The design featured strong horizontal stripes of red, black and white pants, and red, white and black striped stockings. This basic design would be used for the rest of the organization's existence, except for the 1900 1909–1910 season. In that season, the stripes were vertical and Montreal fans nicknamed the team derisively as Les Suisses, a slang term for chipmunk. In the 1929–30 season, the club added the O logo to the chest of the jersey. The barber pole uniform was later adopted by the Ottawa 67's junior hockey team. The National Hockey League's Montreal Canadiens had a barber pole or barber shop design jersey for the year 1912–1913. In the 1920s and 1930s, beginning in the 1927–28 season, the Senators, Boston Bruins, Montreal Maroons, Chicago Blackhawks, Detroit Cougars, and Toronto Maple Leafs had a barber's pole variation in the jerseys. Meanwhile, the New York Americans wore, basically, the United States flag as a jersey. The style endured, but in the 1938–39 season, the Blackhawks were the last to have a barber pole jersey in the traditional sense. The Hawks retired the barber pole at the end of the 1954–55 season. In junior ranks, the Chicoutimi Saguenayens and the Ottawa 67s used them in the Quebec Major Junior Hockey League and Ontario Hockey League. See also Seattle Metropolitans. The style remained dormant until the National Hockey League's 75th anniversary. Internet radio commentator Scotty Was described them as more traditional than tacky when they were temporarily revived. See NHL uniform and throwback uniform. Music. The Barber Polecat Group is an essential repertoire of 12 songs that every barber shop quartet should know. The Barber Polecat program was created many years ago and features popular barbershop songs arranged in voice so all singers can learn and participate. For decades these have been the standard arrangements where singers can meet at conventions and sing together having never met before. The songs in this collection are My Wild Irish Rose, Wait Till the Sun Shines, Nelly, Sweet and Lovely, Down Our Way, Honey Little Lies Medley, Let Me Call You Sweetheart, Sweet, Sweet Roses of Morn, Shine on Me, The Story of the Rose, You're the Flower of My Heart, Sweet Adeline, Down by the Old Mill Stream, You Tell Me Your Dream, Tags, Give Me Your Hand, Ring, Ring the Banjo. Music. The shepherd tone has been described as the sonic barber pole and an auditory illusion. Barber pole flanger are algorithms that offers simple barber pole flanging implementation, and is known also as infinite flanging. Similar to the shepherd tone effect, the sweep of the flanged sound seems to move in only one direction infinitely, instead of sweeping back and forth. Barber pole phaser. Roger Shepard's original work used a computer program written by Max Matthews. However, the same type of effect can be accomplished using an analog synthesizer controlled by a gadget which may be called a Shepard function generator. Harold Bode invented a rack-mounted device called a Barber pole phaser, which was marketed in the 1980s. See also Buckler 200 series electric music box and Buckler 200E. Trademark Barbasol cans use a barber pole motif. Barbasol can image. The can's motif is a registered trademark of Barbasol. Bibliography. Footnotes. Barbasol Co. v. Jacobs, number 8969, 7th Circuit Court of Appeals, 160 F2D 336, 1947, retrieved 15 December 2010. As the court noted, plaintiff's shaving cream product is identified by the word trademark Barbasol and by the distinctive package design trademark hereinafter referred to. Said product is displayed and offered for sale in two types of cartons. One of said cartons is of rectangular shape, the length of which is about 3.5 times its width and the depth is a little less than the width. In addition to the word barber sole being provided thereon, the carton has a striped border of blue, white and red diagonal stripes surrounding a rectangular panel a field in blue color. The shaving cream disposed in this type of carton is packed in an elongated soft metal tube, which is received and housed within said carton. The other type of carton is approximately square and it also has the word trademarked barber sole provided thereon, and the entire carton is provided with diagonal colored stripes of red, white and blue, said stripes forming a border for a blue field, on which appears the word barber sole and other printed matter. The shaving cream is disposed in a glass jar of octangular cross-section and upon which the word barber sole appears. The jar is white and is disposed within the square carton. Endnotes. Further reading. Andrews, William. At the Sign of the Barber's Pole. Studies in Hirsute History. Cottingham, Yorkshire. J.R. Tootin. pp. 1-8. John H. Lionheart. The Sign of the Barber Pole. The Engines of Our Ingenuity. Episode 1635. The Sign of the Barber Pole. University of Houston School of Engineering. NPR. KUHF-FM. And audio. Blood, bandages and barber poles. The Guide to Life, the Universe and Everything. BBC, the 29th of November 2002. Archived from the original on the 8th of January 2006. Retrieved the 27th of December 2005. Roberts, William. The Book Hunter in London. London. Elliot Stock. p. 176. ISBN 9781112482984. At Google Books and at Project Gutenberg.